Good evening, friends. It has been a quite long time. We discussed about some important points. But during the COVID and lockdown, the diabetes cases have gone up very significantly, and many patients are suffering with very high sugars. Either they were previously diabetic with high sugars, or during the COVID, their diabetes were recognized, or post COVID, their blood sugars have gone up. So, in this regard, what can be done? It's very important point here. So many of the patients actually were requiring insulin, and these patients were not on insulin due to whatever the reason, and that was one of the main reason why the patients had high blood glucose levels, and those high blood glucose levels gave to rise with the complications of COVID, and that led to the mortality as well. So the fasting sugar should be maximum 126, preferably below 120, 110, or even below 100 for good outcomes. But those patients whose blood glucose levels were above 126 had bad outcome results, and many of those patients got admitted into the hospitals. So the relationship between the fasting, higher blood glucose levels, and when you look at those patients admitted in the ICUs, it was very close. So even a small increase in the normal blood glucose levels led to ICU admissions and increased mortality in many of these COVID patients. So the risk of admitting in the hospital and risk of going into ICU care was very high in those patients who had higher blood glucose levels. So almost every 3 out of 10 diabetes patients in India reported moderate to severe worsening of the glycemic status during the post-lockdown era. So many of these patients actually were requiring insulin, and even if they were on insulin, majority of these patients were not properly titrated with the insulin doses. So their insulin dose was less, so it was not sufficient to control their blood glucose levels very sufficiently. So those patients who got the proper insulin during the COVID got very good outcomes, and majority of these patients had a successful recovery rate. So those patients who had higher HbA1cs like more than 8, 9 or 10, the mortality was also very high in these kinds of patients. So when we look from now, see, this is almost like we are now expecting a third wave. It may be there or it might not be there. We pray God that the third wave shouldn't come. But at least based on the first wave and the second wave experience, we understand that the patients, in case if their blood sugars are higher side, they should be initiated on insulin and adjusted appropriately to get a better control. So here we have two categories of patients, like OAD controlled insulin patients. That means patients who were on tablets but at good control, and then patients who were on tablets but not under control, or patients who were on insulin but also not under control. So patients who are on insulin but not under control, but patients who are on tablets not under control. So these two categories are the patients who needed special care. So if the patient is on tablets but not under control, then they needed insulin. But if the patient is already on insulin but not under control, means then they needed proper titration of the insulin doses. If a patient is not properly insulin titrated, then we call that as insulin titration inertia. So titration inertia. Titration inertia is one of the major factor why the patients are not having good diabetes control in India. So patients on insulin, definitely they need to titrate their insulin doses with the help of the doctor to get a proper control of diabetes, that is fasting close to 100 blood glucose levels and a postprandial close to 150 or lesser. So those patients who had a higher HbA1c above 8 had better, they had a poor prognosis, and those patients who had HbA1c below 7 had a much better prognosis. So in case if the patient's fasting sugar is above 126, it has to be brought down to normal. Actually, in reality, many of the patients' fasting blood glucose levels was 200 and beyond. So only when you control the fasting to normal state, then only the treatment can be easier and easily initiated by the doctor. So we need to remove the fasting sugar levels and bring down the postprandial blood glucose levels to close to normal. So we call this as, we have to fix the fasting first, so that we get the patient to a target amount of treatment. There were many trials done to prove that it can effectively be managed with proper initiation and titration of the insulin doses. So there are many varieties of insulins that should be taken twice daily, thrice daily, or some combinations to be taken 4 times daily. But the easiest way is to initiate once daily insulin and then adjust it to get the blood glucose levels well under control. So people who did this effectively had got a very good results, and many people think still that if you initiate insulin once, then they will have to take it lifelong. It is never so. Most of the patients, after correcting the blood glucose levels, they don't need a lifetime insulin therapy. Please take this point. And insulin is never a painful process. It is very easy to take, very easy to take, and absolutely you can't even feel the pain. So there are many guidelines to say how much insulin to be started. So majority of them, the Indian guidelines, the American guidelines, majority of them talk about starting with 10 units of insulin and then increase 0.2 units per kilogram body weight. So start off with 10 units and or start off with the 0.2 units per kilogram body weight. So in case if we have a patient who is say around 60 kgs, then they would be needing to start off with the 12 units. If a patient on 80 kgs would be needing then 16 units, or if a patient is 100 kgs, they would be needing 20 units to start off if their HbA1c is below 8. But if the HbA1c is above the 8, then to start off 18 units for a 60 kilo per weight person and 24 units around 80 kilos person weight. And if a person is 100 kgs, then 30 units to be initiated, first dose, initiation of the dose. And further titration to be done like in the manner of 2 units to be decreased if the fasting blood glucose levels is below the 80. If the fasting sugar is from 80 to 120, no need to change the insulin dose. But if the fasting sugar is above 120 to 130, 1 unit can be increased. Or if the fasting sugar is from 130 to 150, then 2 units to be increased. Or if the fasting sugar is from 150 to 180, then 3 units can be increased. Or if the fasting sugar is above 200, then even 4 units can be increased. So looking at this, the factors contributing to insulin initiation or titration inertia. So the reasons could be kept in simple steps like reluctance by the healthcare providers by themselves or the patient or both. The doctor doesn't want to start insulin because of some reasons, or the patient doesn't want to start insulin because of his own complexity or fear of whatever the fears he had, or both contributing. The next is some feel that after initiating insulin the person will gain weight, and then some people assume that the sugars will go down, so they don't want to experience that hypoglycemia. Or some people think that if insulin initiated, their quality of life gets compromised. My friends, it is never so. Actually, quality of life increases in the person who is well managed diabetes. And people think that if a person is initiated on insulin, flexibility will not be there. They can't do their day-to-day jobs, or they can't go for their recreation or whatever. It's not like that. Insulins today available are very flexible. And then the complexity, so how to adjust the insulin dose. If insulin is initiated, then they have to have regular doctor contact, or they should be meeting the doctor very frequently. They think it's never like that. In fact, a person gets freedom from diabetes when their blood sugars are well controlled and there are no complications. There is a doctor for you and there is a dietitian for you to ask and get them titrated. And once you start doing it on your book, what the blood sugar level is and how much the insulin dose the doctor has adjusted, after 3 or 4 visits, the doctor will give you some window where you can self adjust the insulin doses. This much of insulin dose can be adjusted by yourself. So in between the doctor visits, checking the blood glucose levels once in a week and then titrating the doses can be done by yourself. This is called self-monitoring of blood glucose and self-titration of insulin dose as advised by your doctor. And then a lack of constant self-monitoring. So unless a patient checks his blood glucose levels, say once in a week or once in 2 weeks, only then we will know where the patient's blood sugar levels are. In case if a person is not testing, how will we know what the blood sugars are and how to adjust the insulin doses? So testing is very important here. And lack of education. If the patient is not having the right information about the insulin dose or how to take the insulin and where to take the insulin and insulin site rotation, then of course he is going to do it wrongly, and all that will give him difficulties and very undesired results. So there are different types of insulins. Let the patients not think that insulin means it's insulin. There are insulins that act very slowly over 24 hours, and there are insulins which are given when the sugars are very high to bring down the sugar levels acutely. So like there is a horse that's going for a running race, and there is a horse that is just casually walking around. So like that, there are differences amongst, and today insulins available are different varieties to be used by the patient with a different cost and different conveniences. So the doctor will definitely select you the right insulin and make you a better person with diabetes. So with this, it is very important that diabetes is to be managed well, and it should be controlled well. So insulin, if anybody has still myths, it is very simple and convenient to initiate. It is easy and safe to titrate. It is improved adherence to diabetes management and effective in the real practice. Less hypoglycemia and less weight gain can be done with some amount of right treatment with insulin if the patient is requiring it. And this will definitely give you a good lifestyle with the flexibility of still continuing the tablets with the lesser doses and without any side effects, and there's a very good quality of life, and it is easy to manage, and even remote management is easy, and training is easy. I have initiated insulins over online treatments or WhatsApp calls, and all the patients are very comfortable to start, and even it is easy to switch from one insulin regimen to another insulin regimen if the patient is requiring. So insulin is the therapy of choice for managing hyperglycemia during COVID-19 pandemic. And then if the sugars are very high, then fixing the blood glucose levels is very important for a better efficacy, safety and convenience with the available medications, driving its greater adoption in the guidelines and clinical practice. So the use of right medicines enables a better efficacy, safety and quality of life versus inappropriate medications. So there are many questions to the patients like why will the doctor use insulin, and what sugars will the doctor start on insulin, or what tablets he gives for what blood glucose levels, and what they should be eating or what they should not be eating. See, all these things, there are many questions, and don't expect the doctor to give you all the answers in the first visit. First visit is only to know each other better. The second visit is to go with the further titrations, and then the third visit is to see that you have sufficient amount of information about your condition and whatever you need. And fourth visit is where you start getting more information about about the other conveniences of life. And then in the fifth visit, you are already comfortable and almost most of those questions which you had in the first visit. Even if the doctor has unanswered those questions, after the fifth visit, you will experience the answers yourself. So don't worry that the doctor has not given you the answers for all the questions. Actually, in my practice, first 3 visits, I give the patient what they actually need. After the 4th visit only, I start asking them, do you have any questions? Usually after 3 visits, they don't have any questions. So a panic patient in the first visit, he has a list of questions and he wants the doctor to answer all these questions. No, it's difficult practically because there are patients waiting outside, and first visit maybe you need to better connect with the doctor. So there are even more important things what the doctor has to do to you rather than asking these questions. So keep the questions with you. It's not that doctor has ignored you to the answering those questions. Keep the questions to you, and one visit after one visit, one question after one question. So, relatively, you will get all the answers, and those answers you will be able to remember them for a lifetime. Imagine you are going to ask a dozen questions in the first visit, and the doctor answers you 100 answers. How can you remember them? You will actually forget all the answers there itself. So 1 or 2 questions at a time, and then get the answers very well, a proper descriptive answers, and then you will remember those answers for a lifetime. Okay, so I just took this opportunity to educate you all a small 15-minute session. And I wish all my patients a very quality, healthy life with diabetes. All the best. Thanks for your patient listening.